Dude, there's just a general attitude problem that these people have. It's like you come up to these people in society, these various members of society that are just living their lives in these fucking hells. This is what you got to realize about people is that they don't have their own business. They don't have their own fucking life. They are stuck inside of they're working at a fucking weed store, or they're working at a grocery store. They're working behind the counter at a gas station. They want to end their lives. They want the long sleep, as the great Tim Dillon once said. They don't want to be on the planet right now. So it's like you got to understand but there's just this general attitude, man. I don't even know what it is. You find the same thing in like coffee shops where the fucking people there have this fucking douchebag attitude. Like, what is a douchebag? To me, a douchebag is someone who everything they do is for them. Like, this is for me. I'm trying to get something out of this for me every time. So whether that's someone who's trying to like be over the top and like self-promoting ways, or if they're being rude to someone else, there's a big difference between someone who's like funny, poking fun at someone for fun, or like in a joking way. I don't even know. You know, people try to like extract energy from other people often, whether or not they need it. They need to feel good about themselves, or they want people to pay attention to them. If you need me to pay attention to you, you're a douchebag. That's the point. It's like, if everything that you do is revolves around the fact that you want someone to pay attention to you, then everything that you're doing is for that. You're not doing anything in the goodwill in the fucking public sphere. You're not doing anything for the benefit of other people. You're just doing things for you. You're doing things for yourself. And it's just like, dude, it's so fucking annoying. Those people are so annoying because you can tell, and there's just this general attitude and vibe of those people. And that's what it is when you're at a coffee shop, is the people are being rude to you to try to retain some sense of themselves. Because when you're working at a coffee shop, you fucking hate yourself. You want to kill yourself every second that you're there. And the only way to feel better about yourself is to try to be, is when people are rude to other people, it makes them feel good. It gives them like an ego boost. These sick fucking twisted fucks who just go around being fucking being douchebag. They're being douchebag. That's what it's like. The definition of the fucking word. People throw the word douchebag around all the time, but it's like when it's really used properly is when you're allocating it to someone who is doing things only for them. Everything they fucking do is for them. And it doesn't matter what the context is. So it could be somebody's a douchebag. It just like defines itself. There is no definition outside of the definition of that word, I swear. And it's like used so fucking, the English language has really glommed onto that one, at least in my generation. Like, it's fucking very descriptive for these types of people because they come out at life with such a fucking shit attitude. That's what the thing is. They don't have a way to interface with the world that isn't revolved around them. Everything's about them. It's give me attention. It's I need to feel better about myself. I need an ego boost, so I'm gonna be a douchebag to someone else. That's exactly, it's the definition of the fucking word. Douchebag. Douchebag is someone who is a douchebag. Like, it's almost like self-defined in that way. I'd be interested to see what the definition is. I'm not gonna look it up right now. I'm fucking busy. All right, people. Not to be a douche. I mean, there's generalities, there's variations in the fucking context of the usage of the word and what it really means. But at the end of the day, it's for people who only are doing things for themselves. And these people they're sick. They're sick people, dude. It's true. I've been a douchebag. This is the thing, is everybody's been a douchebag in their life, 100%. But it's like, I don't know, dude. It's just so fucking annoying. Like, the only way to do it. A lot of time you can just ignore them or just like be more mature, but it's just so annoying. This is the thing, it's such a nuisance because it's like, I didn't do anything. Like, you're the one that's fucking going out of your way. You're the one that feels shitty about your life. It's not my responsibility to help you feel better about your stupid fucking life. You know what I mean? And I went through phases where I like in response to douchebag, I developed, like, I would turn into a douchebag myself. I would just be rude, or I would just give it right back to them to make them shut the fuck up. But it's like, that's not really that productive of a thing, because you end up in a place where you're just going, you're falling into the same trap. That's the thing, is like, how do you deal with these people in the world? You can either be massively mature, and essentially be Jesus Christ in the face of these fucking sociopaths, and just like well, they're doing it to themselves, or you could just be a complete douchebag back to them. And that's what I used to do. But it's like, that gives you get consequences. You become one of them in time. So it's like, that's not a good fucking method either. And it's just like, dude, it's so annoying. These fucking people, man, I fucking hate them, because it's just like, people don't need to act like that, but they think they do. But it's such a zero sum fucking game. Because it's like, you're doing shit that doesn't actually help you. That's the thing that a douchebag doesn't realize, is that nothing that you, from being a douchebag, as someone who's been a douchebag in the past for 100%, like, you don't actually get anything out of that. You don't actually get anything out of it. What you get out of it is you get a little ego boost in the short term, which doesn't actually have any fucking validity, and it doesn't have any benefit to you. It's a short little bullshit thing. It doesn't actually carry you anywhere. It doesn't get you anywhere. It just gets you to the next fucking negative experience that you're going to have, because it is in and of itself a negative experience. You just force someone else to have a negative experience on the planet. Dealing with the douchebag is never fun, unless you're a douchebag. So it's just so annoying, man. Some days I'm able to just fucking ignore it. For the most part, I'm usually able to do that, but sometimes it's just fucking, I don't know, man. But it's like, you got to realize, these people, most of the time, somebody who's being a douchebag actually hates himself. 100%. I can attest to that as a person who used to be a douchebag. It does make you do walk around in your daily life like feeling some sort of like power over the world, because you're able to constantly make yourself feel like you are the one in charge of life. You're the one in charge of what's going on here. You're the one who has the power to make everything be what it should. But it's like, dude, no, you're actually the one who's fucking up your own life by being a fucking douche at all times. You're going to manifest negative experiences over and over and over again, and it will not stop, because that's how it works, man. That's how it works. Like, I promise you, like, that's you don't get away with being a douche. Like, you will get yours. You'll get your version of it. It's coming to you. You're getting your fucking penance. You're gonna pay for that shit. So like, the only way, dude, just being friendly, I don't know. You can be a bit of a douche. Just make fun of them, mock them. But it's like, sometimes people are just like, be disappointed in them too, and don't even get. That's a good one. Just be disappointed, or just be sick of the person. Just be exasperated. Being exasperated is a great message to send, because you don't really buy into anything. You just are tired of it. You don't take on any of the energies that entails, because it's like, there's a real danger to encountering those people, because you might sink into the bullshit that they are fucking perpetuating. Like, you might not have, you might just be sucked into that shit, dude. And it's like, that'd be the worst thing that could happen to you, because then you become the thing that you hate. So, I mean, I think those people should just kill themselves. But I'm obviously joking saying that, but they should end their fucking existence. I don't know, dude. It's very annoying. It's people who just have this fucking propensity to self-serve. You know what I mean? They just want to do things for themselves. And it's like, yeah, I guess I get it. I get that. I do understand. I understand all of it. That's the thing too. I do understand it. I get why people do that. Because it is it's like a trap. It's a trap to thinking that you're going to be getting something out of the fucking world. But in reality, all you get is fucking But it's a danger, man. You got to learn how to fucking handle those people, but you can't become one of them. You know? And it is what it is, man. Some people, they're just living a life, but it's like it, people pay for that in such interesting ways. It's rarely right at the time. That is the problem. That's the real trap of that type of person, because they're not going to know because things accumulate over time, dude. Things accumulate over a course and a period of time, and then you will end up paying the fucking price. You pay the price for that fucking behavior. I don't give a fuck. I promise you that you will. You don't get away with it. And it's like, you don't want to have that. Living out of a negative life experience is something that just has consequences. And it's like, who wants to be that? Nobody really does. I mean, some people might subconsciously be attracted towards it just because of the way that they're living their lives, the way that they structure their worldview. It might be something of a inevitable like collision course that people end up on. In some of those circumstances, I guess. But it's they're so annoying, dude. I'm like, it's so tired of people. It's like, dude, really? But it's like, also when people are very like passive aggressive, it can be. You basically just have to mock. You just have to mock them, or you just have to be like not even. You just have to be exact. Honestly, it takes a lot of energy to. You can go out there and be fighting these people at all times. Getting in arguments and shit, but it's like. I don't know, man. It's like the more that I live life, the more I'm just like, this is not something. You got to find a way to really just get around the trap of thinking that you have any fucking obligation to having any sort of fucking interaction with anyone that doesn't have, goodwill in mind. If you're doing something just for your own fucking, to feed your own ego, you're not someone that you should be. You shouldn't be around that. Don't be around that person. That person's a fucking psychopath. Or they're at least, they're not, maybe they might not be a psychopath, they might not be a sociopath, but they are definitely on a pathway they're in some sort of, they're manifesting some level of, they're manifesting some sort of, trying to figure this out. They're manifesting some consequences to their life, which are going to show up inevitably. And it's like, do you really want that? People are so stupid. People are really, until you fucking learn, until life forces you to learn some lessons, you just don't learn them. I've learned that on the hard way. Trust me, the hard way. And it's like, I get it. I get these. I understand these people because we are all the same. We all have kind of the same. We are all the same energy, man. Like, not to get too fucking metaphysical, but it's like the manifestations of consciousness are really just perpetuations of some sort of endless recurrence. They're the manifestations of an endless recurrence. And when you're in an endless recurrence, things don't really differentiate from each other too much. So that's why we all really do. Deep down, we do all understand each other. And we all are kind of the same thing at a certain level. Like, we're all douchebags. Everybody can be a douchebag too. And I think one of the things about it is that it bothers me so much when I see people do shit like that, because I used to be that type of person. And so then I see an aspect of myself that I don't obviously you don't like that. You don't want to be that type of person, but sometimes we fall into, like, there's just a time in my life where I thought that was the best way to, feeding my ego. I would feed my ego at the expense of everything. And man, it just ruins your life. It really does in a real unavoidable way. It will just ruin your life in ways you could not imagine. I promise you that. And I wish that I could say that, hey man, acting like this is going to ruin your life. Do you want that? Maybe they do. And like I said, maybe some people are living this fucking life where they expect to get fucked. Of course, not consciously. People don't walk around and they're like, oh, today I'm going to get fucked today. Some people do. But people are self-destructive in many type of ways. One of the manifestations of self-destruction could be that behavior. It's very womanly. That's the other thing too. It's a very womanly behavior. When I see men doing that, it's like, what are you doing, man? I mean, when I was that way, I would be more direct about it. That guy that, some people are extremely fucking passive. So, it's a very strange world we live in, where just people, I think it's the culture, I think it's America too, in particular, is that we have just this shit culture of people that are just, but it's not just America, it's definitely people in other places that are like that as well. It's just human beings. Human beings are fucking shit a lot of the time. It doesn't mean they're bad people necessarily. It doesn't mean they're bad people, but it does mean that they are setting themselves up for this type of fucking experience that they don't want. Promise. But people don't give a fuck. People don't fucking. Hey. People don't know. People don't fucking whatever. Who cares? It's like, you also can't help anyone else. People can't be helped. People can't be saved. But then again, if I was working at a fucking gas station, I'd probably want to kill myself too. It's like, the only thing you have when you're in those situations is to kind of just is your ego. That is all you have. When you have nothing, it is a thing to have. It's sad. I mean, it's not, it's not what you want to be. It's not the person you want to be. Who wants to be that? Nobody. People just are unknowing. I think it's 100% like the way that you're raised, though. I really do believe that. It's a pattern of behavior that's probably taught. Maybe not, and I would guarantee it's never explicitly taught. I would guess there's not a lot of people running around being like, hey, son, what we do in this family is we are douchebags. That would be hilarious. That would be awesome if someone was actually like fucking insane. That's the type of person I fuck with those. I like that type of person. If someone is that way and is actually like they own it. They're like, yeah, no, I know we're terrible people in this family. We do whatever the fuck we want. I mean, and some people are proud of their fucking negative personality traits. Sure. But it's because they see them as a fucking positive. There's a certain level of insanity that goes on in this country. I'm telling you, there's a certain level of mental illness, and the delusion that is required to be that type of person is actually funny. It will be funny. The humor comes in the contradiction of one of those people actually being self-aware, because the problem with that type of person is that you almost can't be self-aware and be a douchebag. You can't be self-aware you can't fully be self-aware. You can maybe have some level of awareness that is like superficial, but there's going to be an aspect of the truth that you are not going to have. You're not going to be privy to. Because you can't, because if you were privy to it, you wouldn't be acting the way that you were. Because you would know, hey, I'm gonna get fucked by this. I'm gonna get absolutely fucking demolished by this type of behavior, and that's not gonna be good for me. You know, and it's like that, and then they would not do it. But that isn't how people operate. People operate in a much. They wouldn't operate. That's the thing. They wouldn't operate like that because it's not working. Because if you were to do that, what the? This computer is fucking freaking out, dude. If you were to do that, you would know exactly what the consequences are, and then you would never do it, because it's like, why would anyone want those consequences? Consciously, and you would never. So, it's part of life, man. People just being fucking psychopaths. People being sociopaths. I guess that's trending towards sociopathology, isn't it? Like, wouldn't that be what that is? 269. Fuck me, man, dude. What's happening in this fucking computer, dude? It's so annoying. What is going on? What is that? Swear to God. I'm gonna have to restart this. This is getting fucked. What the fuck is happening? Come on. Can't even fucking access it. Oh, we're back. Okay. So it's just funny, dude. It's funny. It's funny, but it also just gets so old. 183. Which one is B? 183. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's a human thing or if it's America. I'm trying to figure that one out because it is an interesting question. It's an interesting question to the extent that it's an interesting question. Probably nothing more than that. Damn it. I'm up against a deadline right now. And I'm trying to meet this deadline. You know, sometimes people ask things of you that you just have to say yes to, even if you don't know if you're going to get to it. Sometimes you don't have to do that. And sometimes you do. You know, it's interesting running a bit, or interesting work being self-employed. The benefit to it is that you don't have, nobody has any power over you. This is an interesting thing in life. You have a dispersal of sources of whatever, whether it's, I mean, you hate to say it, but it's the same with relationships. Like if you have a bunch of different women, no one's ever going to hurt you. No one's ever going to hurt you. Because it's the same thing with being self-employed. The benefits of being self-employed is nobody has any power over you. Because you don't really need, you got some clients that are pretty important. And you also do need all of your clients. So it's not a good attitude to take to be like dismissive of their importance in your life, your business. But at the same time, like you don't have to put up with shit really. There's a certain level you do, but it's like if you're in an employment situation where you are exclusively being employed by one company, then you are beholden to that entity that it makes it that company, and you don't even have a choice. You just have to kind of look at this. Wow. Oh fuck, I forgot. And it's like now I'm getting this situation where it's like, okay, this is taking me fucking longer than I thought. And you know, what you want to do is you want to just leave the planet. That's what you want to. You want to be out of the fucking world when this happens, because it's so annoying that now I'm up against this deadline. What you want to do in a situation like that is go on a mass murder spree, and that's a joke. And people will take that as a serious thing. Because people are not intelligent enough to really understand when someone, you know, a genius like me is joking and saying hilarious, funny things on a video. And it's like when someone's saying hilarious, funny things that really light up a room in the right situation, and sometimes they make a room go silent. It really depends on the context. That's the next thing I wanted to talk about. Thank you for bringing me there. Thank you, self, for bringing me there to the next topic, which is context. And context is important. Why? Well, because context dictates the response you're going to get. Because everything is relative to someone else. Everything is based on an external. Everything is based on an external sense of referential understanding. We have to understand the world somehow, right? And the way that we do that is through looking at people's reactions to things, and the way that is affected by context is the crucial aspect to, I think, understanding what context is, because that is going to be the dictator of other people's understanding of what you are doing. So in one context, you might be able to say something, get away with something, and say, hey, I'm going to go on a shooting spree. And it's funny. And people think it's funny because it is a joke, right? But some people, in some context, that would be something that would get you, it would be criminal activity. It would be criminal activity to say something like that. So it's just interesting to the different types of responses you get from the world in different situations, and the way that varies And it's like that really is what navigating the social people. Some people can go into any context and do well, or they can get a positive response or whatever you're trying to elicit. Out of a situation, you can get is if you're able to navigate that context properly. But it takes an understanding of really what is the rationale for even having a nuanced perspective on context to the extent that you are able to really understand yourself in someone else's eyes, because that's what context really is the allowance of other people to have opinions, and other people are not going to not have opinion if you don't allow them, but you have to accept. It's an acceptance of the fact that there's going to be a differential in the way that people respond to a certain situation depending on what the context is, and context has a million different context has a million different components to it that will dictate what it is. It was like if you're in a certain context with people who are already like you, it's going to be much easier to do whatever you want because those people are already on your side, and they're not going to. You don't have to win anybody over. There's like a friendly audience. Everyone knows a friendly audience is better than an antagonistic one, but it's like at the same time, an antagonistic audience might give you something out of yourself that you have to reach a little further into what you are to figure out how to navigate that situation. So it's like even that is like, okay, what does this person think of me? How am I going to go into this situation and navigate it properly with that understanding? How would I do something differently? And this is for every walk of life. Like I don't think anyone is really not aware of this. This is something that affects everybody, right? Because we all have to deal with social situations and different people, and you have to act one way in a certain situation. You have to act a different way in another. Like know what you can't. That's one of the sacrifices we make in society, is that we can't always be ourselves 100%. I mean, do it as much as you can. You want to be able to retain your personality. You don't want to like turn into a different person around other people, but it's like you have to some extent, you have to modulate your behavior for the context. So when I'm on the phone with a client or the potential client, I have to act a little differently than I would if I'm on the phone with a friend. Or if you're on the phone with your wife, you have to act differently than you would if you're on the phone with, with the plumber. Now, I think people take that too far. Sometimes people go to this extent where they lose themselves in that modulation, in that persona. So the persona is what is playing to the context. Now, it's interesting. Some people live a life. They live a life where everything that they do is based on the persona. They've never really even met themselves. They've never even been a human being. They've never even been a person that has any sort of self definition, because they basically are just living out of their persona, which is very weird. But we all do need a persona in some way. Like the persona is what is going to get us through the social sphere. But it's like you got to understand when you're talking to me, you're talking to some projection of what I am based on the context. Now, I will say, personally, my persona, honestly, I didn't really have one for a long time, which isn't a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing. I would just be who I am. But it doesn't work that well, because that can be quite off-putting. If you have certain patterns of behavior that are unfamiliar to some people, like they're not going to be they're going to be slightly off put by what you're doing. And then at the same time, if they're going to be off put by what you're doing, and then you won't be able to get what you want out of them as much. So if you being able to have some sort of a persona to navigate the social sphere is a requirement in life. And everybody does have some aspect of it, but it's like the other side of the coin is some people don't even have a fucking self. They don't have a self. They don't have a personality. I mean, the people who are just a persona, those are the most sickening people, because they don't even have, they're not fun, they're not interesting. They're literally just, they're an avatar of a human, because they're just taking on some aspect of what they think they should be as opposed to being what they are. And when you're doing something that you think you should be, you are occluding the actual veracity of your full self, and you're not manifesting the full scope of who you are as a human. That's also a piece of the social sphere that I don't like. The limitation of the social sphere is that we have to sacrifice some of that. So when you are dealing with people in the world, there's no choice. You're going to have to sacrifice a little bit of yourself, and that is a tragedy. It's a somewhat of tragedy, you know. It is a negative thing in some way. It's somewhat of a negative thing, but it's like at the same time it's a requirement. So, there's both those things are there. The most things in life are not simple things. There are things that have two sides or more to them. And that's just a piece of what it is, man. It's a piece of how life is oriented and set up. And it's not necessarily to say it's a fun thing. Like, it's not necessarily fun to have to be a persona, to have to go out of your way to be something that that you aren't, or to live a life that doesn't necessarily have any bearing onto who you are. But what are you going to do? It's not really a choice. We have to go do that out in the world. So it's just shit to remember, man. Shit to remember. Shit to be cognizant of. It's stuff to be. All right, I can't do this. I need to turn this off. Goodbye. Thank you.